This is Linda Tillman, and we are at the community gardens getting ready to do an inspection. And the first thing we're going to do is light the smoker. So the smoker is sitting where you can see it, ready to light. I'm going to open it up, dump out the old fuel. And now we're going to light it. So first we put a little ball of pine straw in the bottom and light it. And that's starting to flame up. And now we're going to add pine straw to it in little balls. Most important is to get it lit at the bottom and keeping that bottom going. You can still smell the dead bees from the pesticide hive. Oh, it's really hot today, so I guess their bodies are just cooking. This is Thursday, it's supposed to rain tomorrow, so I decided I better come today. Make sure you all get to see an inspection. And the mouth of the smoker is clogged with old fuel from before. So we shut it and it's ready to go. It probably won't last for the whole time, but we can always relight it. When y'all aren't looking, I'll relight it. I won't waste your time on that. So you can see the first hive that we're going to go in. Let me see if you can see it. We're going to go in the tall hive first. And the reason we're going to go into it first is because we're going to steal a frame of brood from it to put into the little nuke hive because it's very small and starting slowly. So I'm going to stop the video and put on my jacket and my hood, and then we'll get going. Okay, I've been saying I was going to do this for a while, and today I remembered to bring them with me. And I'm going to clip some of this grass back since the Georgia Power people are scared of the bees and they won't come near here when they're mowing. It's probably nice for the bees to have a little bit of cover. I'm not going to take that off the side. I'm going to make the hive a little more visible from the front. More for us than for the bees. I don't think they care. Okay, I've had a little bit of a haircut. So let's watch the front of the hive for a minute and see if we see anything important. Let me bring you over where you can see. Okay, let's watch and see if we see any bees flying in with pollen on their legs. That's one sign that the queen is laying. What we can see is I'm standing right in front of the hive, and it's a calm hive, and things seem to be going comfortably for them. They don't seem to be angry or agitated. They're just doing their thing. The nectar flow is pretty much over, and so they are not as frantic as when they're flying in trying to get as many loads of nectar in as they can in one day. So far I haven't seen anybody flying in with pollen on their legs. We do want to be able to take a frame of brood and eggs from this hive for the little nuke hive. So I'm hoping that everything's okay in there. But it is a little remarkable we haven't seen anybody with pollen. We typically do by now, and y'all may have seen one that I've missed. But mostly what we can say is the hive looks relatively healthy. Everybody seems pretty calm. And we know that there was a lay-in queen last week, so unless I killed her in the inspection last week, we should be doing pretty well in this hive, despite the lack of protein coming in the way of pollen on their legs. I sure still don't see any. And we usually have seen 3 to 5 by now. Huh. Well, we don't know what to make of that, but it does tell us that we don't know for sure that things are going great inside the hive. We'll have to see. They do seem pretty calm though. All right, I'm gonna move around to the back with you. So that you can watch the hive inspection as it happens. So first I'm gonna smoke the front door of the hive. I'm just gonna go smoke, smoke at the front of the hive. Smoke, smoke, smoke. They didn't like that at all. And now, we're gonna go in the hive and see what they have to say about that. Probably aren't gonna like that any better. So first I'm gonna take the rock off the hive. Look, there's a bee on the rock. Can y'all see the bee? Sitting there doing her thing. I don't know what she's getting out of the rock. It looks like she's searching for something to eat, but there isn't anything to eat there. So I'm gonna put her down on the ground with the rock. Get a hive tool, pop the top. And there are bees on the top of the hive moving kind of calmly around. I don't see any small hive beetles or anything for us to worry about yet. There's a drone right here at the entrance who may be dead. I can't tell. He seems to be dead. He is not moving. And he's kind of blocking this entrance, so I'm gonna knock him off because he's dead. Okay, goodbye, drone. We take off the inner cover and look in this box. And this is a box that if it were full, then what we would do is we would want to give them a new box. But you can see that the frames on this side of the box are not being used. And then there's some frames being used over here. But there's not anything really much new from last week. I can't tell that they've added anything. So I'm going to cover them up and take this box off and look down at the next box. And my goal, I think this hive is doing fine. It worries me a little that we didn't see any pollen coming in. But I think the hive is doing fine. For those of you, I know there are a lot of you new today. For those of you who hadn't come before on my hive inspections, I use these things called hive drapes. And Billy Davis taught me to do it. A hive drape is a piece of material that you use to cover the hive while you're opening it. It's less distressful for the bees to have the hive covered like that. It makes them feel safer because they here live in the dark. And with Billy Davis actually used oilcloth for this, but I just use kitchen towels that don't have fuzz on them. Again, this is a box. Now this is a box they're doing well in. There's honey in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 frames. They haven't done anything on this end, but they have a whole empty box above them. And this honey I can see is not capped. So, and it wasn't capped last week. So we're not going to feel worried about this hive, and they certainly don't need space. Although this is the kind of box when you see it that you add a box above it, but we've already got a box above it. So now we go into this hive. Now we harvested this frame and it is still empty, which is a sign of the fact that we are through with the nectar flow. If we had not been finished with the nectar flow, they would have already filled that back up. And that doesn't mean, being at the end of the nectar flow doesn't mean the bees can't get any more food. It just means that they can't get food as rapidly. There's a bee right on top of the button that you push to stop the video, so I need to keep checking to make sure she doesn't turn off the camera. Now this is the box where we're going to look for a frame of brood and eggs to put in the hive across the way. This hive, by the way, even though we didn't see anybody coming in with pollen on their legs, when a hive is queenless, what you hear is what's called a queenless roar. And I do not hear a queenless roar. It's a calm hive. So we're going to assume that even though we didn't see what I would call evidence of the queen's presence by finding bees flying in with pollen, we have several now things to think that the hive is okay, because it's calm. There wasn't a roar when we went in, and we're thinking everything's all right. Now in this box, we found last time drone brood, and if I'm remembering right, let me get another hive drape. If I'm remembering right, the hives toward the center of the box had brood and eggs. So that's what we want. So what we're going to do is start like we always do with the second frame from the edge of the box. And for those of you who are new, the reason I do the second frame from the edge of the box is that when you put your hive together at the end of an inspection, the first frame you take out is the last frame you put back in. And if I'm pushing this frame down and it's the first frame, the bees on the frame that are on the box side of the frame are going to get rolled against the side of the box, and in that process they'll die. Oh, this is not great. It's a whole frame where brood was. The brood is all hatched out, but no new brood is filling the cells. So you have to wonder, is there a queen or not? Because that's not beautiful. That's nice honey, but no evidence that we have a queen. So I'm going to hang this one here. I don't know if I finished the thing about putting the hive back together. So if you're putting the first frame back and you're putting it back against the wall, what happens is the bees roll against the wall and they're going to get killed. Where the bees in the second frame are rolling against other bees, and so they're much less likely to get killed. Here again, big frame empty. So this would make me think there's not a queen in here, but they're not acting like there's not a queen in here. Wow. Empty cells. I'm not going to show them to you because it looks just like the other box. Look. Empty cells, no brood. Last week we found drone brood in here, and I was not worried because I said that, more empty cells, no brood. Wow. So this is going to make me think we might be between queens. I don't know if that means that they are queenless. They may have a virgin queen. Maybe that's why they're calm. But we're going to have to go down into the bottom box on this hive if we don't see brood really soon. And we are continuing to see no brood. I mean, nothing. This is nothing in here. Empty frames, empty frame, and the same on the other side. Now they're getting a little testy. Every time I have a plan, I get up here and the plan is not going to work for some reason or another. Now this frame still has some brood, but all it has is drone brood, and the drone brood is 24 days till they hatch. So they could have been laid 24 days ago, and it doesn't mean a thing about there being a queen in this hive. And some of the drones are emerging as we speak. There's one right in the center of the frame coming out right now. Center bottom of the frame. And I can't see what you can see, so I don't know if you can see it or not. And they've put a lot of nectar in this frame because it's one over to the side. But this is a hive with no sign of a queen. So that's not a good thing. All right, we're going to put this box back together and look in the bottom box which I hate to do. But we will do it. Now see, when I put this down, this side of the frame is going, oh, you can't see it, I don't think, but it's rolling against other bees. Okay. Shoot. All right, I'm being quiet because I'm assessing the situation. I don't know what to think about it. Isn't it fun being a beekeeper? You have to keep every day. I mean, there isn't a way to just do a hive inspection. Every hive inspection is fraught with tragedy and possibility and of all things. So right now I'm on the edge of tragedy, but maybe it's not as bad as I think. So we're gonna look in the bottom. It looks as bad as in the box above. We're gonna look in the box above that, and then I'm gonna feel depressed. So that's the course, the trajectory of what's gonna happen today. All right, so once again, I need one more hive drape. Once again, I'm gonna take out the second frame. Oh dear. Okay. Totally light, no brood, zero brood in this second frame. Or did I take out the first frame? No, second frame. No brood, nowhere in there. There's any brood, and there's not any brood on the back side. Oh yeah, there is some brood on the back side. Okay, let me look at this brood on the back side. All right, let me show you that there's brood on the back side. And there's larvae in there, so I gotta see how young is the larva that's in there. So I'm gonna put this onto my back so I can see better and see what the deal is. Oh, there's tiny little larvae in here. So this hive still has a queen. There's tiny little larvae in this area right here, which I don't know if you can see or not, but in that area, there's tiny little larvae all in there. And there's tiny little larvae up here, all up there. So there is still a queen. And I think I see eggs. Hold on. Yes. There are eggs. Oops. There are eggs in every one of these cells. So the queen has just slowed her laying down, maybe because the nectar flow has stopped. But she is not providing us with a frame of brood and eggs that we can give to that other hive, unfortunately. So I don't need to go through this box anymore. If I do, because I know the queen has laid eggs in this box, chances are I could kill her. She dies from beekeeper error more than anything else. So she has slowed her laying down. We don't know why, but what we do know is that she slowed it down, and that we're not gonna be able to take a frame of brood and eggs from this box because those are deep. That's a deep box, and the frames that the little nuke is on are medium frames. And so unless we found a medium frame of brood and eggs, we couldn't do that. And with no brood in this box, the chances of there being brood in the box above it are slim, but we're gonna look anyway, just because I want to be optimistic. I sure am relieved to find that we still have a queen. Yay, yay, yay. Okay. This box is so heavy that it clearly has mostly honey in it, and I am not expecting that we're going to find brood and eggs in here, but we're going to try some of the center frames because I don't use a queen excluder. The queen can lay anywhere she wants, and she tends to kind of make a Christmas tree up the hive. Get it so you can see better. Let's see if there's anything in here. It's supposed to pour rain tomorrow, but now it's getting cloudy here. So at worst, we won't add a frame of brooding eggs to the little new hive. I mean, it's not like they're not doing okay. They just are very, very small. So instead of taking out the second frame in, I'm going to take one out of the middle of this box. Oh, we didn't go into this box. Okay. I'm going to take one out of the middle of this box because if the queen has any eggs in here, it's more likely to be in the middle. And if there's no brood in this box, the other two boxes are honey and nothing else. So we won't be able to take brood from this hive. Like I said, the best laid plans of mice and men, right, gang? Afterglay, or whatever it is that Scottish form said. So this is all honey. All honey. All honey. Okay. Okay, well, yay, hive. We're glad you're still got a queen. Hooray. You didn't help me at all, but I forgive you for that because you're still alive, you still got a queen, and all is well. Not going to be generous today, but you do still have a queen, so I'm grateful for that. Okay, so I'm going to put this hive back together, and we're going to look at the pesticide hive. I wasn't going to do that next, but we're going to look at it in case there's a frame of brooding eggs we can take from it. Oh, I just killed a bee. I heard it. Oh, I hate that. Okay. Slide the box on. I'm glad they have honey. That's nice. Just for fun, I'm going to take out this pretty new wax to show you all what bees do in a foundationless hive. So you can see the top. Isn't that pretty, honey? I mean, pretty wax. It's a teardrop that they've already filled with some nectar and they're turning it into honey. And the frames all in this box are nectar and honey. Typically the bees do that. And then the other thing they do when they're building foundationless frames is they do it in little teardrops. So you can see on this one that they started with a teardrop here, and then they have a teardrop here and a teardrop here. And they've built teardrops across the frame, and that's slowly becoming solid wax. Now, interestingly, that's the frame next to the wall, and this is the second frame in, but this is a frame we added when we harvested some honey from them. So they did go ahead and build wax in it, which is nice to see, because they haven't done much else in this box. This is empty, empty, empty. Then there's honey, 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 the teardrop, and the 3 teardrops. So, hope for the future. Another big dead drone on the top of this hive. You know, when the drones have sex, they die. But that drone looks ill. My goodness. Y'all can see this drone. He looks like he's just having such a hard time. Don't know what his problem is. And then this one is dead. Or he's not dead, he's dying if he's not dead. See, he's still wiggling. I don't know if he's post having had sex with the queen or if he's just dead for some other reason. Okay. So while I've been putting this hive together, I've been thinking, that I'm not going to take a frame of brood out of this pesticide hive. The reason I'm not is that if they have pesticide in their pollen and we don't know for sure, then we could be taking poison over to the little nuke hive, and I don't want to do that. So we're not going to do that. We're just going to build an entrance reducer for that hive, but not do that. So we'll go ahead and inspect this hive while we're still in the big hive. So I'll get my smoker and we'll go look at the front. There's a lot of activity on the front when I first got here. So let's go over to the front of the hive and see what we see. Okay, watch the hive. Let's see who's flying in. You don't get to smell the beautiful smell I'm getting to smell from the dead bees, and they're right down here cooking and over here cooking. But at least the pile has not grown since I was last here. So now this is an advantage of having two hives, because I don't see bees flying in this one with pollen either. So maybe there's something wrong with pollen collection at 1:30 in the afternoon. You know, at this time of year, whatever the pollen is that's available, maybe it isn't easy to get when it's this hot, and I got it this morning. You know, they already went grocery shopping, so they're not doing it right now. So I sure don't see anybody with pollen, but that is actually reassuring because we didn't see anybody with pollen with the other hive. So whoop-de-doo. Okay, so let's see what's going on inside this hive. Okay, now we're going to try to inspect the pesticide hive. My smoker still has a little bit of smoke in it. So I go puff, puff, puff at the front door. My phone has been weird. It actually called 911 a minute ago because of where the camera thing hit it. And I had to explain to the lady, I bet she's never had anybody do this. I said, I'm a beekeeper and my phone hit 911 by accident while I was trying to inspect a beehive. Please don't send anybody. She said, okay, no problem. Okay, so we open the hive and there may be 4 bees on the top of the hive. And this is because this hive has been through a lot. So we see 1, 2, 3, 4 bees that are visible out here. Not a great thing. Doesn't make me particularly happy. I mean, their numbers have diminished, as one would expect in the event of a pesticide kill. So we're just gonna see how they're doing. I don't think they're gonna need anything from us today, because survival is what they're about. And we're actually not going to go, we went all the way down in this hive the last time we inspected it, and I don't see a need to do that today. I just wanted to see if they needed a new box. You can see that this is empty, this is empty, this is empty, this is empty. This has got some fruit. This is what we brought up as a ladder, and they're hooking it into here, but it's still fine. This has got one little bit of teardrop, and then this has a little bit of wax, but that's it. So this hive has not done a lot when it comes to building wax or making honey. I think maybe I killed that drone, or he was in the process of dying, I can't tell. We're not gonna go into this hive. We're just gonna say, glad y'all are alive. There are a lot of drones in here that don't look healthy, but they might just be tired. You know, at this time of day, the drones have been, or no, it's not, it's 1:30, so they should be raring to go, and they're not. Okay, so we're gonna just put the top back on this hive. We know it's okay. We saw last week that it was, and we want to give it some recovery from the pesticide time before we get into it too much. So now we're gonna go over to the little hive, and I'm gonna show you a fun way to make an entrance reducer. So here we are at the little nuke hive. I'm gonna lower this down and we'll watch the entrance a little bit. and see if we see anybody coming in with pollen on their legs. Now, nobody was at either of the other hives, which probably means that this is not the time of day to be gathering pollen. So there's absolutely nothing coming out of my smoker. Oh, there we go. So we'll go smoke, smoke. This is what happens when you don't use the smoker. Not much to keep it going. Okay. I think I'll leave y'all up at the front of the hive for this. Let me make it so you can see the hive. Okay. Last time we were in here, we could see the queen, which happens a lot in little bitty hives because you're able to have less bees to contend with in order to see the queen. No bees on the top. There aren't ever on the top in this hive. But there are a few bees crawling around in this box. That hadn't been true before. And they have started building something in here. There's some old wax in here as a ladder. So a little more activity in this box. Usually absolutely nothing, and there's almost no reason to open it. Lots of bees peeking up at me. They seem happy. We saw the queen on this frame the last time. I may just pull it up and we'll look, and then we'll make our entrance reducer. So, I could move you so that I have room to stand. Oops. I bet I make you all so seasick while we're doing this. Okay. I'm not going to do this for you all during the inspection, but I may go to one of my hives at home and get a frame of brood and eggs to add to this hive. But there certainly are more bees in here than there have been. Oh, didn't do a good job. I hope I didn't kill the queen just then. I didn't drop the thing. I just knocked it against the side. So here we see lots and lots of brood. Lots of little larvae in the empty cells. Remember last time I said it was fine with me for them to have empty cells if they were going to put larvae in it, and she has. See if we see her. There's pollen in there. They're doing quite well in this, and a lot of cells with eggs and let's see if I can show you that. Right in this section right here are eggs and little tiny larvae. I'm going to turn this at several angles so that maybe one of them will give you enough view to see the eggs and the little tiny larvae. They are definitely there. This little queen is doing fine. So we're not going to do anything with this hive except put an entrance reducer on it, and then I'm going to take you home and show you how to make a solar wax melter. So we're going to put this box back together. Put the top on it. Now this hive needs an entrance reducer because it's small, and it would be a hive that would be easily attacked by bees that wanted to take their supplies, and they're perceived as small and vulnerable. So I got my children. I only had one wine cork at my house, but I got my children to supply me with wine corks, and we're going to make an entrance reducer with wine corks. So, and I'm going to do it before I put the strap back on because it'll be easier for me. So, this is how we're going to do that. Take the wine cork and put it right there. Next wine cork, put it right there. I want to try to get them in the center. Take this wine cork. I can get these bees to kind of get out of the way. Move, honey. Good girl. Put it right there. This wine cork. Put it right there. And then I'll take this wine cork and put it right there. That one doesn't fit as tight. So I'm going to put it between these two since these are fatter and bigger, because I don't want it to roll. And then I got one more. Out of the way, honey. That's right. Good job. That one again is not very tight, so I'm not going to put it there. I'll roll this one down that is doing fine and put this one in between. And there we have it. We've reduced the entrance. Now it's a much smaller entrance, less area for them to protect, and we can feel safer about this hive. It also needs a robber screen, but I don't want to do both things at once, and I hate the staple gun like y'all know. So it'll take me another week to get my courage up, or maybe I'll have to get Jeff to help me so we can get the staple gun going. And now I'm going to put the strap back together. And tighten it up. And we're done, and I'm going to take you home and show you how to make a solar wax melter for your wax cappings. And thank you for joining me in the inspection. Okay, this is Linda Tillman, and I'm going to show you how to make a solar wax melter out of a beer cooler. So here's what you need. You need a beer cooler, and I've lined mine. It's styrofoam, cheap, under $6 usually. I've lined mine with aluminum foil, both because it will help add to the heat, but mainly because if the wax drips out of the container and onto the solar wax melter, it can be peeled off of the wax, off of the aluminum foil. And then I have an aluminum baking pan, a 9 by 13, and then I have some wax that I'm going to melt in the solar wax melter, and have a piece of replacement glass frame that's about 12 by 16, I think. It used to be taped nicely with duct tape, but the duct tape is worn off over the years. And I have a Tupperware container, and the Tupperware container has water in it. And the water is in it because it'll make a place for the wax to float when it melts through the through the filtering of the aluminum pan that I'm going to show you. So, first thing you want to do is to take the aluminum pan. So the first thing you want to do is to take your baking sheet, this baking sheet, and punch holes in it. And I have an awl I'm going to punch the holes with. You just push the holes in it. But anything sharp will do. You don't have to have an awl. I don't think a lot of people have an awl. I don't know why I do. And these are the holes that the wax will go through. And it doesn't matter that they're the width of this, the diameter of this, because in the end, when you use the wax that you're melting in the solar wax melter, you will filter it and you'll melt it again. So this is not the last time the wax will be melted, but it's nice for it to get melted in the sun. So in the end, I have a lot of little holes in the bottom of the pan, a lot of little holes only at one end, because I'm going to put the pan at a slant in the ice chest. So what you do now is put wax into the aluminum pan. Put a Tupperware container into the pan, into the aluminum foil lined styrofoam beer cooler, and you put a Tupperware pan of water, and the water will be a place where the melted wax can float. And it's a great thing to have, the place for the melted wax to float. So you put this down at one end, and you take your container, which is now full of wax, and this is the end where the holes are. So I'm going to slant the end where the holes are down and fit this into, it fits perfectly into the Tupperware container, into the styrofoam container. And at a slant like that, that will make the melted wax go toward the holes. And then I put a piece of plate glass over it. And this is a replacement window pane that's 12 by 16. And so there you go, it's a solar wax melter. And so the wax will sit in the sun, it will melt, the wax will go through those holes at the end and land on the water in the Tupperware container. And if the sun is out at all tomorrow, I'll show you what it looks like after it's sat in the sun for a while. I didn't do this till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, so it didn't have enough time today to do any melting. But I'm gonna leave it there overnight. Even if it rains, it won't hurt it. I usually leave it there until the wax is all the way run through.